Welcome to EPG Pathshala. The current module is on community and identity within the course on community organization. I am PK Shahjahan, Professor and Chairperson for the Center for Community Organization and Development Practice at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. This module is essentially going to look at the nuances of understanding the concept of identity and how the interlinkage of community and identity plays out in everyday life of people in communities. When we talk about communities, there are aspects of differences and similarities which exist, and these aspects of similarities are in a way interfering with the idea and conception of communities. So in this module we will look at various conceptual understanding about communities, the idea of social identity and social identity theories will be looked at. Further, we will also look at, in the context of globalization and the macro processes happening, how identity, conceptions of identity have changed the notions of community and experience of communities, and what are those struggles which exist in communities in the context of differential identities people have, and that comes in conflict with interests of communities. When we refer to the previous module on community, the meanings and experiences, we talked about traditional communities as something where the integral linkages exist through warmth and relationships and belonging and everything existing. At the same time, we were also trying to, probably in classical writings, which talks about traditional communities and village communities as the community. The experience of community is described against the traditional communities, which displayed a whole lot of sense of community in terms of warmth and relationships and everything. But one of the questions which I would like to ask in this session is, has the traditional villages been homogeneous and devoid of conflicting interests? The villages, quite often talked about as a container of communal ties. Has these communities, the village communities, been devoid of conflicting interests, or has these communities been homogeneous? The answer is no. These communities also displayed wide varieties of differing interests. The second question which comes to my mind is, does the communities of choice, we talked about communities of choice in the previous section, whether these display a strong sense of community? The Weber's definition of community as a strong sense of belonging, whether that strong sense of belonging exists in communities of choice. The answer could be different in different contexts. There is no clear answer whether these communities of choice display strong sense of belonging. Depending on the context, it may vary. Now, in the context of these differing notions of community, the existence of various communities of choice and geographic communities and things like that, while we're discussing about various subtypes of community, we also talks about the idea of communities lost. So does this all give a signal that the so-called traditional sociological communities are no more existing? But still, we see that these people are bonded together because of various reasons. People are bonded together, and there are formations of communities or relationships which are getting stronger and stronger. What is that something which strongly connects people together is something which we need to probably look upon. To me, something which is connecting communities and people together is the idea of identity. The identity is something which is connecting people very, very strongly. And what forms of identity? Does that identity is a community identity or a sectarian identity or a religious identity? These are all things which we need to look at. Before getting into that analysis, let us look at what do we mean by identity. Identity is actually defining boundaries and maintaining boundaries. It's all about defining boundaries and maintaining boundaries. When I say I have this particular identity, I'm defining a boundary around which my identity is created. When you say you are student, a community, you are defining the student community with a boundary that people who are not studying in colleges and schools and things like that could be considered as not the so-called typical student community. So it defines the boundary, it maintains a boundary. That's how identity is being created. So in that process, individual also would like to declare certain aspects of identity as their predominant identity. So it is also my idea of identity. Who am I? I define certain features. Probably others might be defining something else, my several other attributes. But identity that an individual wants to declare is also the defining feature of one's own self. At the same time, when we move on with further analysis, it is also a dynamic concept. Identity is a dynamic concept. When we say dynamic concept, people, could change their identities. Probably I could be, somebody who is, traveling to other countries and settling for work. Your identity of becoming an Indian, become non-resident Indian, NRIs. So you change your identities. So in different situations, you change your identity. It's not a static concept. It is experiential, it is contextual, it is depending on how do you want to define, how do others want to define. Quite often we talk about identity as something which not only what you would like to present yourself as, but also what others like to see yourself as. So it is something, a kind of a dynamic concept. Identity also refers to the ways in which individuals and collectives are distinguished in their social relations. You relate with somebody else. So this distinction between identities of individual and collectives vis-a-vis others is also a very, very important defining factor of identity. Now, when we discuss identity, it is also marking a difference. I told you about the similarities and differences. I talk about similarities. People talking the same language is they have a special identity. People talk Marathi language. We call Marathis, or we people speak probably Tamil. We call Tamilians. So we form idea of community around the sense of identity you attribute to. But at the same time, it also differentiates with somebody else. It excludes certain people. When we say South Indian or a North Indian, we are excluding the other part. So it is also a form of excluding others within that, against the members within that boundary of who I am, who we are, and how that is different from other people. Now, in this conception, what we are trying to identify, what we are trying to understand is that community emerges as a fluid network of relations of identities which exist in communities. So in this process, you would see that the community which we discussed in the previous module, talking about various ways in which people are connecting each other. So in this, in a kind of a globalized world, we could see that there is a spatial dispersal is happening, at the same time agglomeration on the base of identities. You have people cutting across. You could think about various diasporic communities of coming from a particular state in India, forming you have a strong Sikh community presence in Canada. So you have different communities which are formed by their own identities and which is not necessarily connected in or contained in the social or a geographic space. So the spatial dispersal on one side, and on the other side you are agglomerating on the basis of certain kind of identities. Now what essentially we are talking about is that identity has become a prism of analyzing contemporary social relations. So the social and political life in communities are defined by the concept of identity. How you define your identity, how you relate with other people and things like that. These are all defining how you form a sense of community. So one could see that individuals who identify with a group, with a particular group of identity, also feel a strong attraction to the group. This is not only for people who are having a social group of people who are having a high social status. The whole idea of Dalit mobilization which happened in the country is also a significant example that people with low status also identify strongly with their identity groups. So it's not necessarily that it's a social status which defines a sense of connect and identity, but it's also this inherent qualities, inherent ideas around which one forms identity, which makes significant way in which we are trying to identify people and forms a sense of identity. Now, in this process, what we are essentially talking about, the identity, is that it is a process of self-categorization. Self-categorization in the sense that you are defining yourself from others. So locating oneself in the larger context of the society, you define yourself. It's a self-categorization from among other people. Classical work by Erik Erikson talks about the personhood within the conception of identity. You are defining a person within that social concept, context called the society or community, and you define that identity within that. So all these kind of ideas are in a way talking about the boundaries which defines your identity, and it also goes on further of social comparison and distinction. How you compare with other communities, how you socially compare with another community, you define your own characteristics. Say for example, a European identity versus a French identity. European is an overarching identity. At the same time, French forms a part of that European identity. Or in Indian versus Bengali, or Indian versus a person from Gujarati or whatever. So these are different notions of identity which actually forms a part of this entire process of identity formation. When we were talking about the identity as self-categorization, social comparison, and identification and things like that, we are essentially talking about how the self-categorization where I form a part of we. So you categorize you as an individual to be part of a larger community. So you self-categorize yourself and to be part of a larger kind of a community. So there is the sense of boundary which I was talking about is essentially at different levels. Barth in his work talks about psychological, cultural, social, and political boundaries which you create. You talk about a psychological boundary. You create, you have certain kind of inclination to interact with certain sections of population. So you have a psychological affinity towards certain sections of the society. You may have a psychological difficulty in associating with somebody else. Your cultural sphere, in terms of your how do you create a cultural boundary? You live in, say for example, the community, the Bihari community in Mumbai, they celebrate Chhat Puja. So the idea is that their cultural specificity, whether they are in Bihar or in wherever they are working, they try to recreate that cultural space. So you create a boundary around you, around a particular celebration of a festival. So that's a cultural boundary which you are creating. Similarly, the social and political boundaries which you create. I could give you the example of the Marathi Manus debate which is happening in Maharashtra. The idea, certain political parties are trying to say that they serve for the so-called Marathi Manus or the Mumbaikar or whatever you call it. So you are trying to appeal to different senses of people where their identity is anchored. When I was doing a research in a community, they were talking about, I was talking in the context of communal conflicts, and they were talking about this particular community is a Marathi community. They're essentially talking about Marathi Hindus. They're not talking about people who speak Marathi. There are a lot of people, including Muslims from the Konkan region, who talks Marathi language, who have surnames of Marathi like Dalvi, Kot. These are surnames which are shared by both Hindus and Muslims. But the moment they talk about Muslims, Muslims are a separate category. But Marathis means essentially Marathi Hindus. So these kind of boundaries are even, symbolic boundaries which you create. So there are several boundaries are being created in the process of asserting identities and identifying yourself within a larger socio-political context. So this process of self-categorization within the larger context is to be seen in the context of how do people try to identify oneself, how do people try to compare within a larger society, and how do people want to identify themselves within this larger conception of identities. Very importantly, we need to look at the work by Tajfel and Turner, which is the social identity theory, which talks about the personal self as the defining factor within which, within a larger context of the several self you have. The social identity theory not only talks about you as an individual self, but also in the context of a larger context where you have a larger identities or multiple identities. Within that, you are identifying your personal self depending on the context. So the group membership, which creates an in-group or a self-categorization, it also defines aspects of inclusion. It is not emanating from the the idea that there are similarities, all forms of similarities within the group, but at the same time you have similarities defined on the basis of identities which you define as your characteristic. It could be a linguistic identity. You say, okay, the other people who are not talking the similar language is a different group altogether. Now, coming to the three major factors of social identity theory by Tajfel and Turner, one is a social categorization, which I mentioned about. You are categorizing within the larger process. That's a social categorization, the process of defining which group you and other person or persons belong to. This is a basic individual characteristics which defines you from other people. The second important cognitive process within this social identity theory is a social identification. Social identification essentially means that the process by which you or another person or persons identify with an in-group more overtly. You identify yourself, you categorize from others on one side, and on the other side you identify with a specific group within the society. So that's a social identification you do within that group. You clearly form a part of an in-group within the society. And the third I mentioned about earlier as well is a social comparison. Your own self or self-concept in context or in comparison to other people's ideas, other people's identities. All these becomes closely meshed with the perception of group membership and identities. Now, when we move on from this idea to a postmodern analysis, I bring in again Zygmunt Bauman in his interesting work, Identity. He talks about the fact that there is a spectacular rise in the identity discourse in the 20th century onwards. So this idea, the idea of how identity has become an increasingly important social category, social conception, where people's relations within the community and outside are defined by this idea of identity. He talks about there is something which has gone wrong with the formation of identity in the postmodern era. What he means is that in the age of globalization, where much of the basis of anchoring of people's identity is lost in one sense, and people used to anchor their identities to their local communities or the immediate communities, the family and several other kind of ideas is getting disintegrated in a big way. So in that sense, in the age of globalization, which eroded most of the basis around which people used to anchor, so then people started becoming restless about their own identities and then started probably asserting identities and trying to find your own identity groups within that context. So this has led to very different undesirable outcomes within the society. On one side, you could see, if you look at the slum communities, the poor people living in slum communities are not only poor, they are also criminalized. We say that this particular slum community has a lot of drug addiction happening, a lot of crime happening and things like that. There are very clear examples in the ghettos in Chicago and many other places, that these ghettos where poor people are living are also termed as problem estates and criminal a den of criminals and things like that. So those kind of ideas of conception, identities have also enmeshed with a lot of other ideas which are coming in the form of various processes which is happening in the process of globalization. So what happens in the postmodern kind of a social context is that the disembeddedness of people, their anchoring within the community when it is loose, and their identities become significantly predominant ways where people try to find their relationships and things like that. So in that process, when we are looking at the globalization as a process which impact upon relationships of people, this transformation of temporal and spatial limitations, which is a significant idea around globalization, has led to many of these undesirable outcomes. So, though the globalization is primarily economic in nature, gradual integration of socio-cultural and political spheres led to this situation where people are struggling for their identity, because the sense of identity, sense of anchoring which is lost in the process is trying to be recreated by various forms of affiliations and affinities which people try to recreate. And that's how the idea of identity has become much more predominantly an important discourse within the context of the changes happening globally. When I talk about struggles of communities, struggles of people, there are struggles at different levels. The first level is at the individual level. Individual's identity was based on the position of the individual within the social hierarchy in the traditional societies. You had a social position within the society, and that individual is emancipated from the ascribed inherited sense of identity in the globalization context. When I'm saying this, I'm trying to refer to the fact that people used to anchor their identity to their caste or community or other identities. These slightly get loosened, which is a positive symbol of emancipation and things like that. At the same time, there is no much of anchoring happening in other places. So people in the process of globalization, where this sense of community is lost, your anchoring to certain community concepts are weakening, then people are looking out for other ways of connecting. And that other ways of connecting is actually leading to increased sense of identity at the individual level. So the fragmentation which happened in the societies because of the globalization process has led to agglomeration on the basis of certain identities where you can find your anchoring somehow. You move on to the next level of subnational level. In a globalized world, when this melting down of boundaries of nations and things like that is happening, many traditional community identities are become not so well knit as it used to be in the traditional communities. These contradictory forces of globalization, which is connecting the globe to a larger level, and at the same time localization in terms of formation of identity groups and things like that. These are pulling people in different directions. So this has led to a lot of subnational politics and formation at the subnational levels. You could look at in the post Cold War era, once the nation state has formed, many of the conflicts are happening within the nation states and not across nation states. The reason is that people are trying to find identities, and those identity interests are not met within the ideas of nation state. People are trying to form subnational formations and things like that. So then at a subnational level, it is challenging. It is posing huge challenges in terms of anchoring people's identity and thereby dealing with larger ideas of community and things like that. If you look at a national level, these contradictory forces which I was talking about, which is impacting on the individual because of the globalization, localization, has led to populations living in heterogeneous states to be in conflict with each other. The ideas of the racial discriminations, racial wars which is happening in several parts of the West, or the caste conflicts which are happening, the religious conflicts which are happening, these are happening at the national level where different identities are pulling people in different directions, and thereby people are trying to find their own identity groups within the nation. So from the individual to subnational to national level, these ideas of identities or formation of identities are posing significant challenges, and there people are trying to, are struggling to deal with this conception of this idea or experience of identity in different ways. The formation of various caste-based movements, or various diasporic communities which are existing, all these things are ways to find anchoring for their own identities. And so you could see in 1980s, the identity and ethnicity became the center stage in Indian politics, with the backward class movement and caste-based movements and things like that taking strong positions in Indian political scenario. So the logic of community formation and identitarian mobilization is not always independent of the logic of class and capital. However, it is a factor of people's ability to identify and find strong sense of connect within their identity formations. So in this process, what we are left with is something called heterophobia, which Bowman talks about as heterophobia, a phobia for others. You have a hatred or a phobia against the other. You like to be in the similar communities so that you can have support on each other. The multicultural societies are creating significant challenges for societies because of the fact that people are trying to find their own anchoring within this identity formations. There is a process of alienation which is happening within this notion of community because of increasing play of identity in their daily life. Such processes are leading to casteism, communalism, and subnationalism. That's the effect of the identity and strengthened identity formations which are creating troubles for the sense of community which we were talking about.